let's make this count. Let's make people, smile and also think about the future of payments and about banking at all, which is not for everybody an exciting topic, but we chatted in this backstage a little bit, and it sounds like you are really excited about banks, banking, payments, and how to actually grow the money of people through your solutions.
Yeah, no, I mean we're excited in the sense of like making it easier for people to have more money, with them like putting very little effort into it. Because I guess historically I've been in payments from I was early at TransferWise, etc. And realized that even though the people aren't wired to manage their money well for the long run, right? So if we can build something that helps people automatically save, invest, make the right decisions, as Plum we believe people can have 20% more money, right? So that's why we built Plum, which you connect your bank account, we see what goes in and out of your current account, and then based on that we start automatically saving and investing for you.
So before we really dive into all of this, maybe it's kind of helpful for you to explain to the audience what Plum is.
Yeah.
I thought initially it's a PFM, but you corrected me, it's way more than that.
Yeah. No, I mean, Plum is an automated savings and investment app that basically, as I said, that kind of helps you. The idea is how can we automatically help you have more money with you putting very little effort. So the way it works is people connect their bank account to us, we see what goes in and out of the bank account, and then based on that we figure out how much someone can save. So we want to make sure that everyone saves money with zero effort. But then the next stage after that is what do people do with that money? So we allow them to open an investment account and grow that money because clearly interest rates are at zero and people can't get a return on the money. But at the same time, we also make sure that people are not overpaying on any of their big bills. So we detect all of the bills and make sure we can reduce the cost of those bills. So all in all, if these things happen correctly, people can have 20% more money over their lifetime, which we think is important. We think people in Europe are not really investing their money and growing it for the long run. And as I said, where interest rates are, it's bad. And we're in a phase where we're launching stock trading as well. We can't ignore crypto anymore as an asset class, so we'll be adding crypto as well as an asset class. And we'll be launching our own card as well.
It really sounds like you're building a bank.
Yeah, we don't yet say it, but effectively we want to be able to work. We don't want to be just another bank, so we want to work alongside your current bank, or eventually over the long run, if we want to replace your bank, we can. But we want to stay focused on helping you grow money in an automated fashion rather than you just using us as your current account. So we want to stay focused on that mission. Part of it is having a card because it also helps us help you manage your costs, right?
Yeah.
So everything we do has to tie back to how can I help you automatically save and grow your money.
So when let's say with the growing part, right? Because I think that's the core of what you're trying to do. I noticed on the website that you have a interest-bearing savings account of different interests, basically different rates that you have there. What are the other options you're thinking to add into your solution to help people grow their money even more?
Yeah, so as you said, either you put your money in and there's no interest, or you opt into an interest-bearing account that pays 0.4% annually, or you open an investment account with us where you can choose between, we have 3 risk-based funds, so high, low, medium, but then we also have thematic funds. So we have a tech fund, which is very popular with people in over the last 5 years has yielded around 20% per year, right?
Yeah.
We can't predict whether or not that continues, but we give people a flavor to be able to have access to different asset classes and themes on the market. So a lot of people are opting into that. And the way we've designed the product is that we have something called the splitter that as the money is saved on a weekly basis, you can then split your money and choose how much you want going to the interest-bearing account, how much you want to be going into those investments, and you can make a choice of how much risk you want to take basically and how fast you want your money to grow.
So what you're saying is really resonates, right? Like giving people the option to actually grow their capital compared to what the traditional banks have is a big significant plus. What are the markets right now you're very active in, and what are the markets you want to explore and go further on?
Yeah, we have 1 million users in the UK.
And 1 million.
Yeah,
nice.
1 million users in the UK. Thank you. And then we just launched in France, Spain, and Ireland a few months ago, which is growing quickly. And so I guess this year for us is really to focus and make Europe a big area of focus because we think Europe is completely unpenetrated in how people manage their money, and people are not don't have very good access to cheap, efficient, and easy to understand investment options, which is what we want to bring to the European market. So hopefully in the next year, early next year, we'll be launching an investment proposition across Europe, and with that, we want to open up all European markets, including Cyprus, finally, where clearly I'm from, and Greece, where we have a big office as well.
That is extremely interesting. I understand maybe the rationale why you started in Britain, right, or the UK, as where open banking is active, the banking service providers and platforms are available. But as you go and expand further on into Europe, getting the data from the banks, you can see the transactions, it's bigger and bigger hurdle. What are your experiences with that? How are you attacking that?
Look, it's improving, right? So when we launched, we did screen scraping, then open banking became regulation in the UK, and then 18 months after it became regulation, it became usable, and we moved over to it basically at the last possible day. Europe is now probably in a similar time frame, right? They probably started implementing stuff a year and a half ago. So the APIs are improving. They're not there yet. They're improving. We're using various providers to have access, but we're also thinking of fallbacks in case that the data isn't as clean and as efficient as we'd like it.
So when we're looking at because you're essentially building a neobank which is focused on growing and investing the capital, there are other players in Europe that are pretty active, like Trokoudes, Number 26, and others. How do you compare to them? Like, and not only that, but they also have a huge war chest in order to operate and fund themselves. How are you looking at that?
Yeah. So look, I mean, we don't yet call ourselves a neobank, but we're very much still focused on working alongside your bank, right, and helping you save and invest money. And I think it's two completely different products, right? Because I think a neobank is a bank that allows you to transact, right? That's the primary purpose. So it has to be very good at transactions, allow you to send money to your friends very, very effectively. Whereas we are what we like to think in terms of a slower speed of how people think about money, where they're starting to plan a bit further ahead, a few years ahead, where they're saving and investing. So a lot of people connect their Revolut account to us, their N26 account, their Monzo, yeah, of course. Because people have different, in their head, they have different pots for their money, right? And one is, okay, this is my transaction bank, but I also want a product that helps me save and invest, right? And that could be a different pot. It's not going to be only one way. Some people might use everything within their existing bank, but traditionally there's always been savings and investment firms and neobanks and banks, right?
So when we're talking about banks and holding money, the word trust comes into play pretty often. And traditionally, banks are the trusted organizations that hold your money, and you have financial advisors or bankers giving advice where to invest and how to invest. If I understand correctly, what you're doing is you're actually automating a lot of this and providing an AI or a machine learning system that actually gives advice to people. Have you seen, what's the response there? How do you see how do people change the trust and flow from humans to machines and computers?
I think a few things happen, right? One is that people, when you build a product that's easy to onboard, people are able to quickly test it. And get a sense, right? We're not asking them to move all of their banking and all of their money into Plum immediately. They sign up, they'll save £20 in the first week, they get a feel for it, and then maybe a year later, they open a pension with us and consolidate their pension. So I think trust can be built, over time, and you need to make a product that people can experiment with, and then as they use you, they are able to gain that trust. At the same time, we think that the most powerful thing in how someone should manage their finances is kind of doing it on a regular basis. So putting money aside on a regular basis. So I've always found that, this is why we kind of built the company, that even though we know that we should be investing, managing our money, we don't do it. So we wanted to break that barrier, and this is why, as soon as you come into Plum, without you needing to decide how much, you start putting money aside. And we believe that's the first stage to managing your money correctly.
When you're looking across Europe, there's a fairly low level of financial literacy across the markets. People don't really know how to work with their money, how to invest it, how to grow it. I understand that your product is also educating people, right? Helping them make the right decisions at the right time, but in a non-intrusive way. Right?
Yeah.
Different, people of different ages react differently to these things. How do you see that playing out with your product? Is it more a Gen Z product? Is it more a millennial product, Gen X, or how are you looking at that?
Yeah, I mean, the average person that comes to us tends to be, there's a big range, but the average person is like 28 to 30. Mm-hmm. They range from 24 to like 45. And it's people that I think have been earning for a couple of years and realize probably that they're not really consciously taking the right steps with their money. They want to, but they don't have the time primarily, right? Similar to ourselves. And they're looking for a solution that basically brings them the peace of mind that they're doing the right things with their money. And that's where like a product like Plum comes into the picture.
So doing the right thing with the money, you mentioned prior that you're adding crypto into the portfolio, which is a high-risk asset that is somewhat regulated, somewhat not, and it's risky. What's your advice to people? How you're playing into the portfolio?
So we don't give advice as to where you should put your money or how much of it you should put. It's not like a direction we decided to take at this point. What we want to, we think people these days learn a lot from each other, and they also learn from trying. Okay. So we want to give them a platform where they can access all of those asset classes. I mean, clearly people are accessing those asset classes somewhere else, but we want to give them a place where they can see, their crypto holdings, which they can hold with us, alongside their single stock holdings, alongside their mutual funds. And then I think by having that long-term picture and full picture, they can also compare and understand, do I like the volatility of this crypto asset versus, my low-risk fund, right? And then they can make that trade-off from learning. Because I think no matter how much someone kind of, as an advisor or whatever, tells you and explains to you, it's your money, right? Until you get this feel of how it moves, I don't think you can really trust.
Some things are, though, good to be regulated, right? Like access to tobacco, access to alcohol, those are good things to be regulated. Do you think crypto should be also regulated, or
it is getting regulated, obviously, right? It's now, you need to be registered across Europe and the UK in order to offer crypto services, right? So that's happened. I think it's good because I think innovative systems can thrive under, under regulation if they're doing something positive. So I think regulation is coming to crypto, which I don't think is a bad thing.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely, I think regulation is good, right? It gives you the playing field. It actually gives you the stakes and understand where to play, what to do, what not to do, for you to provide a better service that is more predictable for the future. Talking about the future, you've recently, you come from this island, which is lovely, which is very, very lovely, but even though I spent just 2 days here, really, it's beautiful. I understand you want to expand your footprint in Cyprus, right? You want to grow here. So maybe let's talk a bit more about your operations in Cyprus and what you want to do there.
Yeah, no, I mean, we started in the UK in 2016, and then I guess in 2018 we started an Athens office.
Okay.
So currently we have 50 people in London, 50 people in Athens.
Nice.
And as of this year, we established a Cypriot office, which is still small but growing. We're still trying to find the right people, but we have kind of like 5 people here right now.
Okay.
And we're looking to grow that to like 10 to 15. With the right people, right? We're looking for people. We chose Cyprus because we're going to be operating our investment services out of Cyprus. So we're now regulated here in Cyprus, and out of Cyprus we'll be offering our investment services to the whole of Europe. And as most startups, we're looking for good tech talent to join us. So we're building up the team here in London and in Athens. So quite keen to build a pretty good group of people here.
And that's great. That's awesome. Maybe you can use this opportunity here with the audience is if you have an ask for a specific person, a shout out for a JD or something like that.
Yeah, guys, we're looking for back-end developers. Please apply. I think as there's many other firms. But yeah, we're looking for people that you know have built big scalable systems and are keen about our industry, right? And want to build something that they will use as well here and across Europe, really.
And it's awesome, right? So you've been mentioning across Europe and Europe as an important market for you. But if we look at the future, if we look at a couple of years ahead, are you planning to also go beyond Europe, or what are your plans there?
Yeah, I mean, we think we should go to places where the product brings kind of big value to that area, right? So like we think in Europe this product doesn't exist. People are not saving and investing continuously. That's why it's so interesting for us. We think in places like the US, there's a lot more going on in this space. It doesn't feel like a place where we would bring a lot more value. We could clearly grow there because it's a large market, but we'd rather focus our efforts in places where things don't exist. And we like big markets, right? So I think if we go beyond that, and I think it's something that we'll figure out kind of mid next year once Europe is established. I've always liked to think about big places like Brazil or India as new markets to explore. And there's a lot of stuff going on there with open banking as well. It's progressing, and yeah, so it's quite cool.
And those are exciting places to go, to explore, to see, and to get a good footprint there.
Yeah.
And in Brazil, there's a lot of fintech innovation happening. A couple of years ago, new banks started there, and they've been a rocket ship, growing and rising. And many other providers and solutions out there. So that could be a very interesting market for you, definitely, to explore. One of the places that have been booming with fintech is Southeast Asia in the last couple of years. Especially with Indonesia and Philippines and places where either Gojek or Grab started with their financial services. Do you see that places as something where your solution can also be of interest, or you rather want to stay closer to a bigger market that is more westernized?
No, I mean, I think there's a kind of because when you're building a full stack, let's say financial service to consumers, you got to go quite deep, right? So I don't think you can choose. Europe's easy because there's one regulator, right? But doing it across multiple geographies is tricky if you want to build savings, investments, helping you switch your mortgage, etc. So we haven't looked at Southeast Asia as much, right? Again, we have to probably choose markets that are quite large, right? So we look at Indonesia, as you said, we might look at Philippines. It feels that China is impossible to enter, and there's very, very established.
Time there.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's not something we've explored too much.
You mentioned, and maybe now is a good time for you to start thinking about your questions. I will ask in 2-3 minutes for you to raise your hands to ask questions for Victor. Before we get there, one of the things that people, especially the younger generation, is of interest when talking about growing money is about growing with responsibly and investing into things that aren't harming the environment or are inclusive or are connected with their values.
Yes.
Can you talk a bit more about how your platform is also providing solutions like that?
Yeah, no, for sure. Very good point. I mean, we have, so because we've taken this approach of giving thematic funds and not just giving you risk-based funds and choose one of those, we actually have a clean energy fund, we have an ESG fund, and then we also have a risk-based fund that has an ESG wrapper around it. So out of the 14 funds that we have, 4 of them, right, are focused on these themes that allow you to choose that your money is not going to places where you might disagree. And with the launch of single stocks, will allow people to start constructing collections, and then those collections will be thematic and could exclude. You could include only the companies you want, right? Yeah.
Very, very good. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, the 6 feet apart elephants. How did the pandemic influence you? Was it a boost? Was it more of a drawback for you? How did your business change in the last few years?
I mean, clearly, I guess most businesses, we went home in March for a test drive day and then never went back, and then freaked out. But we were, not by design, but we were lucky because we were so the first month, no one knew what was happening, right? Clearly, user numbers, new user numbers dropped. But after that, I mean, I guess you read in the news a lot as well, people had more disposable income, they weren't going out, they were saving, they were looking at testing investing, right? So there was a lot of, actually benefited us quite a bit. So like, in January, like we were acquiring like double the number of like investors that we were the year before. So we actually, and then the savings amounts actually, the average person was putting aside like tripled.
Nice.
So there was a lot of, like, we were lucky because our industry, people wanted to save more and invest more. And then coming out of the pandemic, when we've talked to our users, a lot of people have now like kind of shifted and want to keep a lot more of their money in to the side, growing and not necessarily like spending it.
That makes a lot of sense. And it's good that you're on that side of the business of growing and investing money rather than spending it on travel. So it's definitely good.
Yeah.
Let's maybe zoom out a little bit from your business, but looking at the industry at at large. You've been for many years within the London ecosystem and within Europe and looking at the different fintechs and what's happening. My question is, what do you think we're paying too much attention on and we should not? What are the things we are not, spending enough time in the industry to solve and to fix, and we should actually change our priorities into that?
Yeah. No, I think it's kind of speaking up Plum in a way, but I think like clearly there's been a lot of new banks, right, that have come and have grown the user bases, and to a big extent they offer, which is good, right, they offer a cheaper service to do transactional stuff primarily, right, and a much better UI than traditional banks, right? But yes, it's a lot easier to send money from one of these neobanks to your friend than logging into your traditional bank. But I think, and then there's been a rise of like trading apps, I think, as well, in the consumer space I'm speaking. But I think there hasn't been enough focus as to how can people have more money, right? We're doing simple stuff like there's a lot of opportunity for people to consolidate their debt, right? There's big costs there. So how do you build services that which is what we're trying to do to a certain degree, right? Where we see for your transactional account, who you're paying as a debtor, and can you get a lower cost on that, right? But also like making sure that people are making kind of committed long-term decision. It's not just like, okay, I heard about this stock that went up a lot, I'm gonna go buy it quickly and sell it, right?
Yeah.
Which is, I think it's not bad overall, because I think it's how people learn, right? I think that gets tiring after a while, it's kind of exciting, right? But like for a certain number of people, they might do it continuously, but like for most, they'll get bored of checking if it's up or down every day, and they'll be like, okay, I understand I can make money, let me commit some money that keeps growing and take it from there. So I think there's not enough attention, and I think it'll happen, right? Because I think a lot of the infrastructure has been built, but like kind of like focusing basically on customer outcomes, right? And how can people be better off with what they have, right? I mean, I think the role of technology for me is like, how can you be more efficient, right? And waste less, right? That's kind of a big enabler, and I think in fintech there's not enough focus on that, but I think it will happen.
That's a really good answer. So what you're saying is, let's go beyond just transactions and beyond just exchanging money,
Yeah.
and actually making more of your money and getting more value out of it.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Let's go beyond just access, right? Like,
Yes.
which is good. You got to build the access layer first to be able to build on top of it. So that's been built. So hopefully now it's like, how can I help you in your personal life be in a better position?
When talking about, a person, maybe before I ask my question, do we have a hand that wants to be raised to ask a question from the audience? Yes, in the front stage. So the gentleman will receive a microphone and can ask a question. Bear with us.
Hi, Victor. Congrats for the new funding, by the way, that you just announced. What are you plan to do with the 24 million that you plan to raise in the next months?
Cool. Yeah. So thanks. Yeah. I mean, we just announced that we've closed the first 14 million of a $24 million round. A lot of that is. The majority of that is to kind of do what we've discussed up here, but we want to grow the team to around 150 people from the 90 that we are right now. A lot of that is in technology, and then really deliver the products that we've said, right? We're launching stocks, we're launching crypto, we're launching a card, and make sure that these products are successful across Europe. So for us, it's a lot of product work and a lot of expansion work into new markets. So it's going to be an exciting time.
Connected to what you just said, there's one field where people spend a lot of money that's very closely connected to finance, and that's insurance, right? Is it a field you wanna touch into and provide maybe insurance solutions for your customers as well, or that's something for later on?
Yeah, so we always, part of it, we have a piece of the product that we used to call lost money, which is basically all of the bills that we detect that you're overpaying on. And that includes insurance bills. So we currently offer people the ability to look for better car insurance and life insurance. So it's an area that we want to leverage your transactions and try and see if, based on those transactions, you can get like a lower cost product. So it is part of our marketplace proposition.
Awesome. I see a gentleman right there raising his hand.
Something that you mentioned just struck me. Do you anticipate as you scale, you'll be getting any pushback from any of these people? I mean, if part of your offering is effectively allowing your customers to identify opportunities where they might be overcharged, right? Naturally, it creates a competition amongst those who are not too happy about that.
I didn't quite get any pushback from people on...
the larger, like the insurance companies or any of these places. If you're able to go through and identify places where they might be overcharging some of their clients, right? At some point, if you scale large enough, it becomes a threat.
Yeah, I think it. I think if we become large enough and we identify places that people are being overcharged, I think it hopefully changes that part of the industry, right? So the way I always think about it is that again, it kind of comes back to technology, right? So if there's an insurer that's overcharging someone, either they have big margins or they're very inefficient, and then by us pointing that out, we're just accelerating the move to another insurer, right, that has a better cost model, a better technology, and is able to better serve the customer at a lower cost, right? So I think it pushes for innovation in a transparent way, and the regulation both in UK and Europe has pushed a lot about transparency and competition in a lot of these markets that have been dominated by a few players for a very long time. So in the UK, there's a big push. There's a lot of new energy companies. It's the same is happening in France and Spain, etc. Right? Because these areas are dominated and no one's innovated for too long. So I think overall it's a good thing. It's a good kind of chemistry.
I believe we have time for one more question from the audience. So whoever raises their hand first, yes, front row, please. Yeah. Wait for the mic. The mic's arriving. 300 people here.
Yeah, I'll keep my voice really active. I have two questions actually, if it's okay. One is when you're talking about giving the services for transactions as well, okay? Are you doing it based on existing credit cards, or are you developing a system that excludes the credit cards? And for investments, do you have, I understood you have, you've created like funds, right, for different kinds of assets. Can you explain a little bit more about the assets that you have that are actually crypto related?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so on the transaction side, like we allow people to connect their existing debit, like credit cards, right, or current account, so they can connect multiple of those. So that's how we allow them to connect their basically all of their transactional history can be connected within Plum. And then in addition, when we launch our own card, right, there will be an additional spending method that some people might want to use. And the way we're positioning it is that like it's for you to be able to like have this card that leverages the rest of your transactional behavior, right, like the rest of your transactions and spend, and tries to allow you to like set like a certain budget aside that you want to spend, and you have it on this card. So that's what we do in the transactional space. And then on the investment space, like, yeah, we don't give any crypto funds yet. We're going to allow people to get buying crypto assets themselves and get exposure through that. And so the funds that we have are like listed mutual funds that are 3 are risk-based, so like 80% bonds, 20 stocks, etc., and then some are thematic. So the tech fund has, I don't know, 50% Microsoft, 50% Apple, etc., etc. So they're like tied to indices and sectors. So we have a healthcare fund, we have an ESG fund, etc. We don't construct those funds. We just offer what's out there in the market. But when we launch our own stock trading proposition, we'll allow customers to collect stocks together, and other people might want to like invest in the same collection of those stocks. Yeah.
Thank you.
Victor, we can go on and on for a long time. I have one question, and don't kill me for it, but I want to ask you, like, what is the biggest challenge for the next 12 months? And don't say getting back in developers, but you know.
No, I mean, I think the biggest challenge for us is it's like scaling the team, right? But like, you know, and being able to continue to deliver. Like, I mean, I'm still learning, right? But there is, you know, there's a different level of communication that you need at 30, you know, 90, 150 people. And I think what we're doing are the correct, let's say, moves strategically. But I think the biggest challenge is to really scale the team, and we're hiring like leaders as well, right? To be able to continue to deliver, right? So I think as long as you have a good, strong team with good leadership, there's a lot you can do. So the majority of my focus is really literally on building and making sure the team is strong.
Enabling others to grow the business. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect. Please give a round of applause to Victor. Thank you.